John here with you with another harebrained story. Lately I've been going out with my grandson doing hockey practices, and it's kind of interesting. You know, you got a bunch of parents out there with their kids, my grandkids, so obviously I'm another generation above most of the parents that are there, and a lot of the parents, actually the fathers, are, you know, coaching and helping on the ice and such. And so in my case I just sit and watch, and that's kind of interesting. The other night was actually an outdoor practice, and it's a little cool. We're in Winnipeg, and so I'm there and I'm trying to keep warm, and there's a hut where they change, which is good, and it's got a door that faces out to the rink, but it's got a little skinny window in it, and so that's, if you want to stay warm and watch your kids practice, you can look through the window and watch them practice. And that's about, you know, the extent of trying to stay warm. Everybody else is out freezing watching their kids, and I'm watching the grandkid, and I guess being older I'm allowed to do that. So, but an interesting statistic. Okay, so we've got all these kids, and I've been watching this now for a little while, and my grandson and granddaughter both are playing, as a matter of fact, and they've just started virtually. They're 8 and 10 years old. But everybody is very serious about how their kids are going to go on to be great hockey players, and they're doing drills and practicing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sort of watching, and I'm thinking back when I started playing hockey, and I started playing probably about the same age. I moved actually from the States to Canada when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and that's when I started playing hockey. And I remember when we played, I was in Quebec, as a matter of fact, in Montreal, and you know, at the time, and I don't know how things are down there these days, but in the winter, you could, you know, the roads were ice, and so you would put your skates on at home. And I had a rink about a quarter mile down the road, and so we'd put the skates on at home, skate on the road, if you can believe it, because the roads were ice, get to the rink, get the shovels out, everybody would shovel the rink off, and we would play shinny hockey virtually all day. In other words, we'd show up, and whoever would show up, we didn't have different colored jersey. We'd try to remember who was on which team. And if you had 3 or 4 or 5 guys, then you played, you know, 2 on 2. If you had 10 guys, you played 5 on 5. If 20 people were there, you played 10 on 10. In other words, we weren't taking shifts. It was however many people were there, and you just kept playing hockey all day long. The game virtually went all day. You know, people would come and go throughout the whole day. Anyway, I'm watching the kids now, and they're practicing. And I'm sitting there watching, and they do a lot of standing around. In other words, they've got to wait their turn to take the puck through the pylons and that kind of thing. And so while it's not their turn, they stand. And I'm thinking, okay, well, great, but they're not really, I guess they're having enough fun because they're with their friends and stuff like that, but they're not really playing like we used to do back when I was the same age. And then there was a statistic about how these kids will do. And they interviewed parents of kids that were 10 years old. And they said, how many of you, what percentage of you, basically, you know, they asked him, you know, do you think your kid has the potential to become a NHL hockey player? 17% of the parents suggested their kid would become, or had the capability of becoming, an NHL hockey player. The statistics are, at 10 years old, 1 in 7,000 of those kids, which, by the way, if your math is not very good, that's not anywhere close to 17%. 1 in 7,000 of those kids will make it to the NHL. So, obviously, there's some delusional parents out there. That being the case, and I was thinking of Henry, and Henry, he seems to have fun out there, but, you know, obviously I'd like to see him do well, make it to the NHL. That would be great. They didn't interview the grandparents, I guess, in that interview. But, you know, and Henry probably, and both my granddaughter as well, except they just don't have the NHL for women, but, you know, they both could be potentially very good. As a matter of fact, my son-in-law, you know, is 6'7", 270 pounds, great hockey player, and could be, you know, Henry could very well become sort of similar. And if he started now and got very serious about it, he could, you know, he would have the physical capabilities to certainly make it. But the trouble is that going to be fun? I mean, I watch some of these kids, and they go out and they're doing drills. I mean, they're drilling, and they're not really playing. They're not playing team hockey. And even at this level that they're playing right now, it's waiting in line until your turn comes so you can go take the puck and go through the pylons, as opposed to what we used to do back in the day. Anyway, so now I'm sitting inside the hut, and one of the other dads comes in, And we get talking, and he's coming in because he's cold as well. And I asked him, did you ever play yourself? He said, no, I never really did. And meanwhile, his son wants to play, which is great. And I started telling him some stories about my case. And so I told him the story about when we used to play hockey. We would go to the rink, and everyone would it was a shinny game, a game of hockey all day long. And it really didn't matter, how many people were there. We just played. So we kept playing. And by the way, when you're playing, the game is fun. You think about any game you play that's not really organized, that's just fun to play, you have fun. And guess what? None of us made the NHL. Well, that's just fine. But anyway, so I've told him that story, and then I went on to tell him, that I'm actually still playing hockey. And interestingly enough, a couple of years back, in 2022, I was down in the States, and I actually got picked to play in the American Amateur National Championships. And there was, at my age, and I was playing in the over 70s at the time. I was 72, I think, at the time. And I got actually picked. It was kind of interesting. And so I was still playing. He was quite surprised. He's probably 40 years old himself, versus my 75, and he was quite amazed that I was still playing and that I played on this national team. There was 4 teams from all over the United States, and at that age there's probably not many people still playing hockey, but we ended up losing 3-2 in the final of that one, and it was great. And then he said to me, which was kind of interesting, he said, and I just met him that night, and he said, those are the stories I'm going to tell my kid, as far as hockey goes, so that he can think about having fun playing hockey as opposed to aspiring to be in the NHL. Because let's face it, the odds aren't great that you're going to make the NHL. And if you are going to make the NHL, you got to start practicing so hard to the point where you're really not going to be doing anything else but. And that's not really fun either. So if you can go out and have fun, funny enough, some of those kids, if they have the talent and they play and they have fun, now they're going to probably be interested in making it, because by the time they get to be 15 or 16, when they can really show some skills, if they've been having fun all along to that stage, man, maybe they'll then take the extra step to try to get that much better. Regardless, the point of the whole thing was hockey should be fun for kids. And when I watch some of the practices that they're doing, I don't know that it's that much fun. I mean, yes, they're out with their friends and stuff, which is good, but they're not playing the game. In the practices, like I would have loved to see in practice, okay, you do your drills for half of the practice, and then the last half, let's play a game. Let's just play against each other and have some fun. Oh well, that's my harebrained story. You can play it all your life if you have fun doing it, and I still do. I played last night with a bunch of guys I've been playing, thinking about that. We have ice that we've rented now at 8:45 on a Wednesday night for 28 years. The group has evolved. A lot of them have died even to that point, but they still got the same ice time. And as a matter of fact, I think last night there was maybe 2 of us that were from the original 28 years ago that are still playing. But, even to the point of some of our kids are now part of that group, which is kind of neat. But, it is a great game. It's a fun game. It can be a game you can, you do have to have obviously some equipment. You don't necessarily need all the shin pads and if you're going to just play shinny hockey, you can go out there with virtually just your gloves and skates and a helmet, and away you go, and you just have some fun passing the puck around, and you're really not going to be doing slap shots or anything like that anyway. So with hockey, have fun. Make sure your kids are having fun. And how to have fun is by actually playing games. They get competitive. Certain guys are going to do better than others. That's okay. And they have levels where you can play if you're, when you get into the organized hockey. But in the meantime, play shinny. That's a great way to play hockey. I've been seeing shinny hockey, which is what we used to call just a game that's ongoing play. It's not shitty hockey. I mean, I play shitty hockey, but I also play shinny hockey. One of the reasons I'm still being able to play at 75 is because of Gut Fix. I take Gut Fix every day. Gives me a boost of natural antibodies directly to my gut microbiome. Keeps me healthy. I take no other medications whatsoever. No blood pressure meds, no cholesterol meds, none of those. And, like I said, I'm still playing 3 or 4 hockey games a week, having fun doing that. Some of it's with my own age group, but a lot of it's with kids down as young as 18. And by the way, that's sort of shinny hockey. Whereas we all play, and obviously there's no slap shots or no boarding or hitting of anybody, and so it's more fun. As Red Green used to say, keep your stick on the ice. As John Hare says, gut fix yourself.
Gut fix. Think outside the box.